The greatest blessing an Estolian can experience is not faith in deity, it is faith in self. Faith that one can do hard things, be worthy of attention, and capable of overcoming obstacles. Faith in oneself is, perhaps, the hardest faith of all. Key. Inscription on Dragonstone.
The time spent with Darin, his parents and her grandparents was magic. The greatest gift she had ever received, or would ever give, was the reunion of her grandparents with their long-lost daughter. She could not imagine how they must feel, to lose Kedarin as an infant, and live more than 50 years having only the unfulfilled hope that their child was alive, healthy, and happy somewhere on the planet. Their happiness and joy were abundant. To Mary, her grandparents grew visibly younger as the joy of their reunion wrapped around their hearts. Mary learned that Kedarin's deepest sorrow throughout her life was the belief that her parents had abandoned her in that stable so long ago. She never outgrew the feeling that she was somehow less lovable, that something essential was missing. Because her history was unknown, she was never eligible for adoption. No one ever told her why, and she came to believe it was because she was defective and ugly. One foster father even told her outright that no one wanted a freckled carrot top for a daughter. When Kedarin discovered that her parents had never stopped wanting her, that they had cried themselves to sleep and celebrated her birthday every year of her life, the realization brought her a peace that seemed to shine from within. 3 days after Mary's grandparents arrived, a package came. A large scrapbook filled with the letters they had written to their missing daughter each year of her life.
Hands entwined beneath the newborn sun, whispered vows as day begun.
In the days that followed, as the drama between her grandparents and their daughter unfolded, Darin continued her dressage lessons. She and Kamchatka were learning how better to understand one another. Sometimes she only had to think what she wanted him to do, and he responded as if reading her mind. Darin explained,
For Kamchatka, and any Estolian who forms such a bond, the joy you feel and the joy he feels are one and the same, and it is transcendent. The more in accord you are, the greater the joy becomes. If you asked him, he would die for you. There is only one living being of importance to him, and that is you. Nothing stands above that bond. He will defend you, protect you, and give his life for you. This is why we breed only those stallions who embody the highest qualities. Kamchatka.
He paused, swallowing hard, emotion tightening his voice.
Kamchatka is among the finest. With your consent, he will become one of the stars of our future breeding program.
Why does it make you so emotional?
She asked once she had dismounted.
Katydid and Chattanooga, his dam and sire, were paired because I believed they could create a foal of this quality. I was granted 3 years of Katydid's production. It is a rare satisfaction to see one's faith so fully validated.
If he's used as a stud, does this mean I won't get to ride him?
She asked. Riding Kamchatka was no longer just the means whereby she had acquired her grant. Now it felt as though the grant's true purpose had been to bring her to him.
He will be unavailable for several months of the year. You will be given another steed to ride when he is busy.
Given?
She asked, remembering Kamchatka's purchase price.
Given,
he insisted.
The stud fees alone will recompense you for the purchase price.
The evenings were spent with family. Darin often held her hand or pulled her close against him as they sat and talked as a family late into the night. They never spent time alone, except during the dressage lessons. Eloise served as their chaperone for the pre-dawn ride on the day before Darin's birthday. Mary rode Kamchatka, while Darin rode his own stallion, Galvan. They dismounted on the summit of the lesser mountain and tied both horses to the same low-slung tree. Kamchatka sidled close to Galvan, the two stallions nuzzling one another like old friends.
Why are they so friendly with each other?
She asked.
Kamchatka can sense, in a simple way, What matters to you, Mary?
Darin explained.
He knows that I am special to you, and by extension, my stallion is as well. Part of the love bond these horses form is their instinct to accept those people and creatures that matter to their rider. Though
He paused and sighed softly, patting the thick neck of his mount.
he has been mine since I was 12, I do not expect he will be around much longer.
Sirocco.
Mary said, naming one of the horses she had recently begun grooming. In that instant she knew this man would form an attachment to the feisty filly.
You think so?
He asked. A pang of guilt struck her for suggesting a new mount for him. It must be painful to face the end of such a long partnership. Her conflict must have shown, because he said,
Do not worry, Mary. Galvin and I are good friends, but he is old. He will enjoy retirement. Perhaps I will take the time to get to know Sirocco.
The vibrant colours of the sunrise still stained the megalithic basalt columns crowning the greater peak of Mount Estoliana. The brilliance was already beginning to mellow, fading into the clear light of morning. They had ridden up long before dawn, watched the first fire crest over the palace on Mount Zacharias, and now the world below was fully awake. She turned from the fading glow and asked,
What do I need to know, Darin?
He did not pretend to misunderstand her, for which she was grateful. He opened his arms to her, and she went to him without hesitation, finding calm only when she stood within his embrace.
You want to know what has been happening these last few days, and what will happen next?
He asked.
Yes.
Her voice trembled.
Nico said tomorrow is your birthday, and that a week after is the best day to be married. But I keep hearing hints, cryptic things, and it feels like there's something important I am not being told.
She winced, hearing her tone, the strain in her words, the note of rising panic at being left behind. She wanted the truth. She wanted him, to be his, to know he would be hers. Her grandparents deserved this time, years perhaps, to remain with their long-lost daughter through the twilight of their lives. And she, Mary realized, deserved something as well, the reward of keeping this man beside her for the rest of her days.
There is much you will need to learn about Estolia.
He eased back just enough to meet her eyes, his expression turning somber.
We as a nation are simple. We live and die by our faith.
He drew a breath.
What I need to know, Mary, is whether you are willing to embrace my faith, my nation, and my way of life. Are you willing to live here in Estolia, with me, for the rest of your life? Will you marry me and bind your life to mine irrevocably?
While he spoke, he did not pause for her to answer any of his questions. She could hear her heartbeat pulsing in her ears. His body betrayed his desire, the hard line of his arousal pressed against her through the thin fabric between them. She struggled to gather her thoughts to form the words she needed to say.
I fell in love with you, Darin, when I first met you.
She whispered.
Of course I'll marry you.
He sighed and looked away briefly before meeting her gaze again.
In our faith, the marriage takes place a full week after the beginning of the honeymoon. If you are willing to take me on, I will be permitted to be alone with you tonight, Mary.
Some of the veiled comments she had heard up until this point in time suddenly made sense. He would be allowed to be alone with her, so that he could claim her, physically. He tilted her chin upward and kissed her, his hips pressing closely into her body, rubbing against her nerve endings, stimulating her imagination. As the passion of their kiss began to escalate, Eloise interrupted them to say cheerfully,
Now that the sun is up, we need to return to the stable.
Darin pulled away slightly, his forehead resting against hers, his lips curved in a smile. His eyes meeting hers were full of promise for the future.